Namaste.
Namaste!
Namaste!
No more tea! No more! I'll see you later.
Namaste!
You're listening to Metal Atlas.
Okay,
I've got 8 nipples!
Did you just try to simultaneously rub all of your 8 nipples?
Yes.
I suddenly feel a bit dirty. I think I'm just gonna get another beer just to cope it up.
Can you get me one, please?
Yep.
Okay. Hello world, welcome to the Metal Atlas podcast. Here we like to explore some of the metal bands and scenes from different countries and present them to you, the listener. Different eps, different countries, different bands. We'll play a portion of a few of our favourite songs, and if you like them, you'll be able to find their links to their music in the description below. My name is Kazai Bulladoo, and with me we have...
Benoit.
Bobo!
Maxim.
Anthony.
Laser.
So, now that we've introduced ourselves, let's chat a little bit. How are you guys?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, pretty good, eh? Pretty excited.
Yeah. And little scared also?
Yes, yeah.
It's good to have a little fear.
Yeah, always. It's always good to have some fear.
So, this week we're
I
going
don't
to be
like
looking...
to be scared.
That's alright.
That's
I like to be scared.
You like it or you don't like
I
it?
don't like it.
No, I know you don't. You like Peppa Pig, that's what you like.
Yeah, I know.
But who doesn't?
Let's make a podcast about Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, screw metal. This week we're
Really
going to be
does
looking at the metal scene in India. You may have recognised the music at the beginning of the episode. That was Mundian de Bach Girahi by one of our chosen bands for this episode, Bloodywood. So first up, how much do you guys know about the metal scene in India?
Not much. I don't know.
Nothing.
Yeah, no. And before we make this podcast, I just knew like nothing about in metal, Indian metal.
Well, that song that we played at the beginning actually kind of went a bit viral, which was when I first started listening to it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's how I discovered, like...
It's Punjabi metal.
That's how we discovered it.
My first contact with metal was Rishabh Singh. He's a great musician, a sitar player. The internet told me it's a sitar he's playing, so I trust the internet.
Yeah, you're right. Always
Should
trust the
trust the
internet.
internet.
Yeah.
Not playing his own music, but doing covers of Animals as Leaders, who is a really technical. And I was really impressed. This is where I began to get interested with the metal scene in India, and I've heard a bit of music since then. Bloodywood, some musics of them, and not a lot more. I'm guilty of it, sorry, but
No, that's
Yeah, we
fine.
got to discover.
That's why we have this podcast. It's about discovery.
yes, indeed.
So, India has a pretty thriving metal scene these days. There are quite a few pretty big bands around that you can find, quite a few festivals, which is a contrast to 20 years ago when there really wasn't much. I think with the rise of the internet, it's getting easier and easier for these bands to get their music out there, so we're seeing a lot more. If you look into it a bit, you can see the expected metal influences like Metallica, Iron Maiden, Behemoth, and a few bands even mention Gojira as an inspiration, which is a band we all love.
Big up!
All
I
praise
love
the internet and Gojira.
And Google and Gojira. What I really dig about the Indian metal scene is how often they utilize traditional sounds and instruments. So I think you were saying earlier that your guy does that. What's his name?
Rishabh Singh.
Rishabh Singh. So he tends to introduce traditional Indian sounds with metal music. Like the
Yes,
sitar.
But to be clear, he makes covers of
Yes.
metal music.
Covers.
Only with a sitar. It's not metal music with part played with sitar. It's only sitar.
He has the sound of the music on the background, so it's kind of
No.
hearing
Yeah.
Animals as Leaders, but with the sound of a sitar, who's playing what
Right.
Tosin Abasi, who is an incredible player and guitar player, certainly one of the best guitar players out there, but played with a sitar. It was really, really impressive to me. So yeah, Rishabh Singh. Now he has his own band.
What are they
and
called? Do you know?
I can't remember. I'm really sorry. I really
Fine,
have a lot of
we can
respect
Google.
for the guy. He was my introduction to
Indian metal.
the metal scene.
Yeah. There are quite a few Indian metal bands these days. A lot of them like to speak about, well, they use traditional sounds a lot in their music, and quite often they'll speak about social and political issues in the country, which is kind of what we're doing with this podcast. We want to explore the metal scenes in different countries and learn about that stuff as well. For example, there's a band called Demonic Resurrection, and they have an album called Dashapata, I think? Dashapata. And each song is actually named after a different Hindu god, so that's kind of exploring those themes of Hinduism in metal music. You've got Matsuya the Fish and Krishna the Cowherd. I think Buddha the Healer is also a song, I could be wrong. And it's really quite interesting to listen to as well, because it is that mythology.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about them this episode. In this episode, we'll be focusing on these three bands: Bloodywood, the Down Troddence, and Heathen Beast. So to begin, I will start with Bloodywood. Okay,
Namaste.
so Namaste.
Motherfucker.
I did a countdown and everything, baby. So this week my chosen band is Bloodywood from New Delhi. I found these guys like most people find them, I think, with their viral videos on Facebook, as I mentioned earlier when we were doing our introduction. I think the first one I saw was that Punjabi Metal vid, Mandian de Bash Ke Rahi. I loved it straight away. Bibu and I had actually been to India not too long before and fell in love with the place. I also fucking adore Bollywood, as you guys know. I was immediately in love with a metal song that incorporated Bollywood instruments and that Indian flavour. It's actually a cover of Punjabi MC's Mandian de Bash Ke Rahi, which I hadn't heard before, but was quite popular worldwide. Jay-Z had actually done a remix of it, and it had topped the charts in India, Italy, and Belgium. In general, Bloodywood make a lot of cover songs. They started making parody metal of top 40s hits and Bollywood music around 2016 as Bloodywood, but previously the two members, guitarist-producer Karan Katia and vocalist Jayant Badula, had performed in other bands, released albums, done live shows, the works, as bands do. These days they're headed in a new direction. They've started making original songs because demand for their music has increased so much. They become really popular virally with their cover songs, and then people have been like, you guys are awesome, actually, so why don't you just do your own stuff?
Yeah, you need it.
Exactly. They've said that making more original music has been more rewarding, and reception has increased 1,000-fold. They've actually become one of the better-known metal bands from India, after Demonic Resurrection, I would say, or Scribe, which is another Indian band everyone should check out. They're really cool. And actually, Demonic Resurrection played recently at Bloodstock in Derbyshire.
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks ago when we were at Boomtown.
Yeah.
And Matt saw them live, which I'm so jealous about. If you haven't heard of them, do check them out. Anyway, back to Bloodywood. As I mentioned, they're beginning to head into a new direction with original music, but before I play any of their actual original stuff, I just want to give you a taste of their cover music so you can see why people are asking them to make their own stuff so much. So the first song I'm going to play is called Metal Holi, Rang de Basanti. It's a parody of the title song from the movie Rang de Basanti, which is about a British documentary filmmaker who was determined to make a film on Indian freedom fighters based on diary entries by her grandfather, a former officer of the Indian Imperial Police. Upon arriving in India, she asked a group of 5 young men to act in her film. This film had the highest opening day collections for a Bollywood film.
Ooh.
Just a little interesting tidbit. It was quite popular. Bloodywood filmed the music video during the Holi festival, so in the clip you can see them running around covered in colours. In case you don't know, Holi is the festival of colours and love in India. It signifies the victory of good over evil and welcomes spring.
It's pretty funny, actually, to be there.
It actually is pretty funny.
Yeah.
We were in Goa for it, which I don't think is...
It wasn't that good in Goa.
No, because Holi is generally more celebrated in the north and we were in the south. And in the south, and in Goa especially, being such a tourist town, it was more just like, let's watch white people get drunk and throw shit at each other.
Yeah, that's
Actually, that's great.
That's what
it was.
Be there.
Pretty much what it was, for
Yeah.
us at least.
Yeah.
Because we actually asked our hostel owner, was like, where's the best place for Holi? And she was like, oh, this bar. And I was like, not a temple? She's like, no, the bar.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
the bar. So, here is the song, Metal Holi, Rang de Basanti. It's available for download by supporting them on Patreon. So if you would like to, you can find them at www.patreon.com/Bloodywood. This song is actually only available for download for Patreon subscribers or Patreon donations. So you can't get it on iTunes like you can with the other stuff. You actually have to be a Patreon donor. Anyway, this is Bloodywood, Metal Holi, Benoit.
It's pretty slow, eh?
Get it together, man. This is a podcast.
Yeah, like you have one job.
Okay, guys, what did you think of
It
Rang
was
de
amazing. I
Basanti?
love it.
It's
Loved
really, really groovy and energetic.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah, it's
right?
really. There are many kinds of metal in there.
It's
There's
really gent.
gents.
A lot
There's
of
a
gent.
lot of gents.
Yeah.
There's even some folk moments, like really energetic, really dancing
Yeah,
moments,
gent,
like that.
Yeah,
really,
you feel like you're running around throwing colours at each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
and dancing
just
in
want
the
to-
streets.
It reminded
Yeah.
me of some parts of Korpiklani moments, like really, yeah, beer, let's dance.
Yeah,
and-
like you're hopping.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is not
Um,
the same groove though.
No,
No,
actually,
not at all.
they use something a lot more technical, rhythmical, complex, and sharp that is traditional in
Yeah.
India with the tablas and
and
so on.
it's-
And they took it to make a gent guitar riff that is really jumpy and heavy at the same time.
It's
Yeah.
way less binary than what
Yeah.
you can find in Copenhagen.
Yes, exactly.
yeah, and there are moments where the singer, like the singer, goes from a really traditional way of singing, really melodic, and goes full Slipknot singer.
Yeah.
Death
from-
roll, actual pure
Yeah.
death roll.
What is gent, actually?
Oh, that's an interesting story.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So
And funny.
you need to have 10 chords to 10 strings to your guitar first. That's the first thing.
But you just
10
use the low
strings.
one. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a big one. Just, just
Like, come on, just buy a bass. You know?
Inspired by Meshuggah, basically.
Dark. Okay.
And there are,
defined by Michel.
but it's been defined by Meshuggah, but many bands have been inspired by it and altered
like Bloodywood.
it. Yeah, in this music at least, yes. So yeah, it's really interesting to hear this mixing of gent and sitar, cultural music, folkloric music.
Right, with like kind of that Mexico style. So, next up, I want to play Ari Ari for you. I'm sure most of you guys have heard this a few times
Yes, of course.
because I've probably played it for you a few times.
Yes,
It's definitely
of course.
maybe once, maybe one time.
Once a day.
It's definitely one of their more famous songs, and I'm playing it now because I love it, as you know, and it's one of my personal favorites. It was inspired by the Bombay Rockers song Ari Ari, whose style is similar to the Beastie Boys, but both songs, Ari Ari by the Bombay Rockers and Ari Ari by Bloodywood, are essentially a cover of a classic Indian folk song that I could not find to show anyone because there are a lot of things called Ari Ari. Bloodywood described their version as redefining diversity and unity. They also have a guest rapper for the song, his name is Rayul Kerr, but apart from his vocals, our boys Karan and Jayant do everything else. You can find the song on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Patreon. Here it is. So, guys, what did you think of that song?
Amazing again.
Yeah.
Really Linkin Parky?
No, that's not this one.
No, that's not the good one, Anthony.
I fucked up so hard. You can cut right now.
Next
please.
time you're drinking orange
You
juice.
can also cut your head.
So, just in case we go with this audio and you think it's a bit strange, we had some problems with that audio, so we're re-recording our reactions.
Yeah, exactly.
Sound completely genuine this time.
Wow.
I really love this
Wow.
Turkish band.
So I guess
Never
amazing.
heard something before.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
wanna fight and then sing at the same time. So come
Yeah,
on,
you say
Yeah,
that.
let's fight and
I'm
dance.
ready. No.
So, in particular, I really love the violin that kind of seeps in towards the end of that song, especially after, like, the, you know, when it goes quiet and then it builds up again.
Yeah.
And then that second kind of chorus, or third maybe. I don't know music lingo. Flamingo.
Maybe that's it.
After that, you can kind of hear that violin in the background picking up, along with the drums and the flute, which Karan actually learnt especially for the song. So he didn't play the flute prior, he learnt it just to do Ari Ari.
That's
Yeah,
pretty good, eh?
Right? Commitment.
There's really a lot of different instruments in these songs, and
There are right? a lot of different
especially
influences.
percussion.
all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
them are played by the band, or
They are all played by the band, by
But-
both guys. The band is actually just those two guys.
oh right, so there's no sample or whatever.
No, all played by the band. And so Karan actually learnt the flute just for that song. As a matter of fact,
Pretty impressive.
quite impressive.
Yeah.
I do say so myself. Anyway, now for their latest song. Well, the latest as of the 24th of August when we're recording. We won't release until October, so they may have released another one since then. But this is their first original song. This one is called Jee Veeray. The title literally translates to Live Brave One, and it's about enduring and living with mental illness. One of my favourite things about this song is that when they released it, they also bought 60 counselling sessions for anyone who needed help. You can go into this website, www.hopenetwork.in, and book an appointment using a promo code that they released on the YouTube video for the music video for the song. So the official music video, if you go on there and you look in the description, you can find their promo code. I don't know if there would be anything left because it's been about 2 months, but there might be, and if you need help, check it out. This song is beautiful. It features rapper Raul Kerr again, who wanted to take part after losing heroes like Chester Bennington to suicide. For Karan and Jayant, it was losing their friend in college to suicide that made them want to make something meaningful like this. Karan said in an interview with News 18, "This boy was the most happy-go-lucky person, always smiling, but turns out he had been depressed for a long time and no one knew. It really affected us. The fact that it's so easy to overlook someone with mental illness and the toll that having mental illness takes on the victim." After releasing the song, they had numerous messages and support from fans who've also dealt with mental illness, and as a result, they're hoping to take the campaign for normalising mental health issues and talking about mental health issues forward. So here it is, Jee Veeray.
Yeah.
Really good. Well done, Bloodywood.
Thanks. Are you Bloodywood now, Benoit?
Hey, I played the thing.
He's a DJ.
Yeah, thanks, DJ.
You did the work.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think?
Okay, now we can say this time it sounds like Copy Clan.
Yeah, it does.
And
It does.
Linkin Park.
And
And Linkin Park.
It does.
Kubrick Park, Lincoln Lining.
Yeah, I
Linkin
guess
Park.
you can really hear that Raoul's influence is Chester Bennington because he does at times he does remind me of
Yeah.
Chester Bennington.
Yeah.
You can
I mean,
see that influence.
He doesn't have the tone of voice, but not many people have the tone of voice of
Yeah.
Jester, but he does try, and it shows. It really shows.
Yeah, you can hear the inspiration.
You know, with the rapping part.
Yeah.
That's really. I think that's an homage.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually a lot less Indian sounding. Even the Indian instruments are a lot lower to me than the others.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
You
drum
have
beat
the
was quite in the
rhythm, the drum
background.
beat, yeah.
But
But
still, they're
this-
really present.
Yes, they're
you can
still
hear
there,
them
but-
all the time. That cultural and that folkloric part of the music is really present in those three musics, in the three songs there.
But
Really
still,
present.
This one is a lot less jumpy, clearly not happy at all,
Yeah.
and a lot more tortured.
I don't know. The
But-
flute does tell me happy things. The rest of the music a bit less,
more
but
almost like Lord of the Rings.
Melancholic, exactly.
Yeah.
Melancholic
Yeah.
than happy.
Yeah, you're right.
that
Melancholy.
flute
would be a
was
good
really
word.
happy.
But this one is
For you, you're happy, man.
this one is an original composition.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is their
unlike
first
the
original
former
one.
ones that were covered, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is their first actual
Yeah,
original
so
song.
that's way less Bollywood.
Yes.
for-
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and you have something brutal inside too. So.
And melancholic.
Kind of makes me
Melancholic.
feel like I'm flying over the mountains. I have giant wings, and that flute
It does.
is my
yeah.
wind.
Yeah, it's true.
You do you, girl.
I will. if doing me means flying, that sounds hilarious.
Over mountains.
Baby, doing me means flying.
Okay, alright, okay.
Okay, so there they are, the awesome Bloodywood. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to find more of their music, you can do so by searching for Bloodywood on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Patreon. Actually, if you support them on Patreon with just $1 a month, you can get downloads of all of their music. $5 or more will get you a credit on all of their videos, and $10 or more, and they'll add you on Facebook and maybe even feature you in one of their music videos. I can't wait to see what they'll be releasing in the future.
Yeah, I hope they're gonna release like an album soon. That'd be
I
great.
can't wait for that, actually.
Yeah.
If Jee Veeray, well, I mean, if any of their music is a testament to what they can achieve, and then Jee Veeray being their premiere song, original song, then their album's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And what can we expect to see them on tour, maybe?
I would fucking love. I think I did see someone doing a, what do you call it when you put a signature online to something?
I don't know.
You know, when you're like, stop sea animals dying, put your signature on here.
Ah,
Petition.
petition.
Petition. I think I saw a
petition.
petition for them to play at Bloodstock,
About
so maybe
Oh, really?
that might turn out into something.
Animals
Ah,
must
okay.
stop dying, and we must see
Stop,
Bollywood, please.
stop.
Leave the
Animals
and
animals,
Bloodywood.
please.
Maybe they'll just come out with a bunch of sea animals being like, we did both! We got here and we stopped animals from dying.
Maybe let them die a little for, not have an overpopulation of animals.
Yeah.
just
Just like a
a
little bit.
tiny bit. Just
Yeah.
a teensy bit of
Yeah.
murder.
Reasonable death.
Yeah.
Pragmatic Maxim.
Yeah.
Hey guys, so it's Boo Boo.
Hi,
Hello.
baby!
Boo Boo.
Baby!
So I chose the band the Down Troddence, also known as TDT.
TD.
They are
like a drug.
six-piece
Yeah.
thrash metal band originally from Kannur district in Kerala in India. Of course, it's India because
It's the
It's-
India episode.
That's the
No,
topic
isn't this the
of the
Israel
show.
episode? Actually, no, it's New Zealand. Australia?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why am I anyway.
It's fucking metal.
So the members of the band are Moons, the vocalist, Varun Raj, the guitarist, one of the guitarists, Nether Ahmed, bass guitar, backing vocals, Sushin Chayam, keyboards and backing vocals, Ganesh Radhakrishnan, drums, and Advaith Mohan, guitar. I'm sorry about the name, guys.
You didn't
like-
have a lot of them to say.
You did a good job. It's a
It's
good
pretty
job. Those
hard.
names are
They will
hard.
be
So-
written in the comments, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry for
Fucking
the
learn how
accent
to
too.
pronounce shit, guys.
So, so I really like these guys. They sound to me at times a bit like Gojira, who, if you don't know, are pretty famous prog metal band from France.
Yay!
Them again.
Anyway, before they became the Down Troddence that we know now, they started as a two-piece band with Varun and Moons called Ultimatum. Eventually, they gained the rest of the members became a full. Oh, whoa. Eventually, they
Chicago.
gained the rest of the members, became a full-fledged band, and released their first single, Death Vanity.
That was a hard thing to say. Full-fledged band.
Yeah, it's especially for French boy. Anyway,
Boy.
I want to talk to you a little about their musical style and influence, as I find it pretty interesting. They blend thrash and groove metal, but they also utilize traditional folk music elements from Kerala specifically. I'm sorry again.
How much points is that on a Scrabble board?
Specifically?
I don't know.
Quite specifically, it's a few.
Yeah, maybe time 10. I don't know. So if you don't know about Kerala, it's a beautiful southern state in India, along the shoreline of the Arabian Sea. It's full of beaches, palm trees, tropical canals, and spices. It's beautiful. We went there. It's beautiful, guys. If you can go there, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no,
Anyway.
Kerala's gorgeous.
It
Especially
is-
for the bitches.
Yeah. And it used to actually be largely under the ocean, which ties into in Hindu mythology, as it's believed Kerala was rediscovered from the sea by the axe-wielding warrior sage Parasurama, the sixth avatar of Vishnu.
So you're saying that he brought it out from the sea?
Ah, he brought it out of the sea.
Yeah, so
Ah.
he pulled it out.
Okay,
Is that what you're
so-
saying?
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know. So let's start again this sentence. Okay. Kerala was rediscovered. Oh no, recovered. Alright. Let's rap again. It used to actually be largely under the ocean, which ties into Hindu mythology and believes Kerala was recovered from the sea by the axe-wielding warrior sage Parasurama, the sixth avatar of Vishnu. Because of its mythology tying in with fossils that have been discovered inland, it is known that the people of Kerala has been around since the Neolithic Neolithics era, so for roughly 8,000 years. And from that time, And from that time period come some of their most prominent forms of ritual worship, tradition and custom in Kerala. This is called Thiam, I think. You pronounce it Thiam? I'm not too sure. But anyway, Thiam. And it's important to the context of the Down Troddence, as they use those extremely ancient folk sounds in their music. The drummer, Ganesh, talks about the need to remember their roots and what connects everyone
What
in
a
an
name.
interview.
Ganesh,
With-
though, right?
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a dude named Jesus, you know?
It's true, Jesus, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna restart this sentence.
Sorry.
The drummer Ganesh talked about the needs to remember their roots and what connects everyone in an interview with the Hindu.com. And in a separate interview on the same site, Moons talked about growing up in an atmosphere charged by theme performance.
Damn.
Theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, theme performance? I don't know.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them.
Theyyam.
Yeah, how do you say it, guys?
Tam.
Tell us.
Tam.
You can text us on the +3306. Anyway, those performance dealt with issues like castes, conflicts, and suffering of people he refers to as a downtrodden.
Wait, the name is Down Troddence?
The Downtrodden.
Downtrodden.
The name of the band is the Down Troddence, and
Yeah.
he refers to the social issues by
Yeah.
the downtrodden.
Trodden.
But I
Yeah.
really would like to see a band called the Down Troddence.
Downtrodden,
That
yeah.
would be
It
awesome.
must exist, I guess.
Probably.
It will exist soon.
As you can probably guess from their name, those are the issues closest to them, the subject of most of their songs. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to play my first song by the band. This song is called Forgotten Martyrs, from the album. I love the name of the album. How are you? We are fine, thank you. Love it. And
It's nice.
Yeah. I love this. It's like really original.
It's very polite.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
talking to your grandma,
right.
you know?
And it's about the Carrivalor struggle, which is seen as one of the first major uprising in Malabar region, fought by the farmers for their land, food and freedom. They actually collaborated with Bejum Dharmajam, the former guitarist of another band from Kerala called Mother Jane. Here it is, Benoit. So, what do you think, guys?
That was fucking amazing.
They're so good. I love them.
They're so good. I love that guitar. It sounds like a violin to me. It kind of reminds me of Queen of the Damned. Have you ever seen Queen of the Damned?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
A long time ago,
Yeah,
but
it's pretty good,
but it's about a vampire called the Stat, but he was a violinist, and his violins kind of sound weepy, kind of
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
guitar
yeah.
sounds kind of weepy, like a crying or
Yeah.
Kill me.
But the thing at first,
kill me.
I didn't know it was a guitar. I thought it was a violin.
Same.
But no, it's a guitar.
It's that guest from Mother Jane. It's that dude.
It's not as imprinted in Indian musical style, at least the one I represent when I think about folk, Indian
Yeah.
folk music.
Still, it's metal.
It's
That-
metal.
that's
It's
a,
more
That's a Western
metal.
style of music. So
Yeah.
That's
It's
not
less
because
Indian
you are from
sounding.
India that you're going to put some.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Some sitar
No, you
and
have to,
some
but
whatever, you know.
no, it's
Yeah,
really
but
different from the first band that was really always.
Yeah, it is
Well,
the comparison between these
for
two.
their two first song that was covered from Bollywood.
Yes, exactly.
So,
yeah, yeah.
but the last song you
it
have
had-
the flute, but it's
You still had some Indian percussions in the last one.
yeah maybe the best.
They're really not. Maybe the melody itself sounds kind of not classic for Europe.
I see what
It's
you
good
mean.
metal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good. It's so good.
And,
It gives
and
me life.
the growl sounds a lot like Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth, I think.
Oh,
It's
really?
Like
Yeah.
really.
It's really opethy in general.
Yes, in general, you're right.
Yeah.
The growl is like really not pushed. It's really mastered and really clear. I think
Yeah.
you could quite easily understand what he's saying.
Well, the
Oh, yeah,
thing
absolutely.
is the
It's really
progression.
progressive. Yeah.
No, it's good.
They are a
it's
prog
good.
band.
They are what?
Makes
A
sense.
progressive band.
Yeah.
They're progressive metal.
And again,
Yeah, I
it
really
really
like
sounds
them.
like Celtic music.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
so
Yeah, for
it's
the
quite-
melody part, that
Yeah,
was
no,
kind of a lot of the dance. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I wanna dance again.
Yeah.
Dance and fight.
We don't
Yeah,
have enough
can I-
Keep
everywhere.
dancing and
Just-
fighting.
Can you listen, guy?
Dancing, fighting, and drinking.
Yeah, tap dance on the carpet. Yeah, do that.
She's
Just move my
dancing.
If you
feet on
can't
the
see,
floor.
we're getting an
And
Irish
it's
dance
wonderful. You
performance from
can't
Lisa.
see it.
And like Lisa
Get
was
down
saying
from the table,
earlier, it's like it makes you feel you're on the boat and stuff. You want to sail, somewhere. It's really good.
Yeah, I want to start you something.
Yeah, like you're on your first pirate adventure, and this
Yeah.
is the song as you sail out to the horizon.
Yeah.
Because Aya
Yeah.
wants to fly over the mountains, you want to sail, and Lisa
Into the-
just want to drink and dance and
She
fight.
wants to fight.
And dancing on the boat.
Anyway, guys, so if you loved, enjoyed, or you like this song, you can find it on Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, and TuneIn.
And YouTube also.
And YouTube if you want to, or just Google
That's the
it.
full album.
It's fine.
on YouTube, actually.
You're big boy. I mean, you can.
Go find it on the
girls,
sea.
you can.
Yeah.
You
Everybody
can do
got
it yourself. I mean.
exactly.
You can Google. You know how to Google these days.
So next up, the song I want to play is where you can really hear those traditional theme songs. This song is called Nagavalli, and it's from the same album. Anyway, there's only one album so far. They're doing a new album, and it's gonna come up next year. beginning of 2019. Anyway.
I can't wait for that shit.
Yeah, me neither. So it's from the same album. The song is inspired by the film Manichi Tratazu, I don't know. Anyway, a psychological horror film in which a young couple, Ganga,
Gengar.
I like Ganja better. Anyway, and Nakulan.
Let's call her Ganja.
I think that was a Freudian slip, actually. Tell us about your child.
Alright, let's wrap up.
Ganga and Nukalan.
Move into a mansion which is thought to be haunted by the ghost of an ancient feudal lord, personal dancer of and concubine, Nagavalli. However, she was in love with another man and therefore murdered by the lord. Legend says that on the 8th day of Navaratri, on their...
Indian names, too hard.
On their Gashtami night, an annual Hindu celebration, Nagavalli returned as a bloodthirsty spirit, intent on killing the chieftain and drinking his blood. But he was saved.
lovely.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
good.
metal.
It's romantic.
But
Southern
unfortunately, he was saved
Aw.
by chanting some mantras, and she was locked inside the mansion only to be supposedly released by Ganga, who then, believing there's a ghost wandering in the mansion, start to slowly transform into Navagali. This song is fantastic. Oh, putain, j'y arrive pas.
Putain de merde!
Yeah.
La chatte à ta mère.
This song is fantastic, so haunting, with the slow chanting of temple bells. And if you watch the music video on YouTube, it's pretty great, which I recommend you do. You can see some of that traditional theme style dancing alongside the theme from the film. Here it is, Benoit
Nagavalli.
Nagavalli. Alright, so what do you think?
That's
Fucking
amazing.
love that song.
I love them.
It's so creepy. You can absolutely imagine like this Bollywood girl and Bollywood again. This like girl, this Bollywood
She's
dress,
gone
dancing
Bollywood.
alone, possessed by some kind of
Yeah.
the ghost of Nagavalli.
Yeah. And if you watch the video clip at the end, she's just like pouring blood, like
All over her face.
all over her face. It's so great.
Yeah, that's clearly the more brutal music we've
There-
had since.
There was some
Yes.
heavy shit.
Really
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah, yeah.
Introduction and the outro are really,
I mean,
really
the
heavy.
first riff and,
Yes.
and the last one,
Boom.
there is really,
Really,
a,
really heavy.
a weight to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That bit too in the video
It's
clip when
floating
they're
on.
like doom 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 doom. In the video clip, they've got the girl Nagavalli like smashing up this dude, and each
Yeah.
hammer is hitting on the drum beat. It's so
Mm.
good,
Oh,
so
man,
good. It's just
it's,
like organs, everything flying everywhere, body parts. Love it.
Yeah, I, mean, I really
love
like
body
Down
parts.
I love
Troddence.
body
Like,
parts.
I love body parts.
Yeah, which one specifically?
I have a
love
favorite.
I love
Guess.
nose, yeah.
It's
Maybe.
thematic of my fridge.
You don't have a vegetable rack,
I have
body
big
parts
fridge,
rack.
you know? No.
We don't know. There's
Everybody
no
should
need.
anyway. It's so good.
This
Human
is
meat.
this is my
Mm,
enemies.
yummy.
This is my family.
So for my last song, I'm going to play Shiva. Again from the same album. There's only one.
What was the album name again? How are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's,
I'm fine.
there's
Thank
quite a
you.
dissonance
How are you?
between the music and
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like really happy.
It's more,
How are you? I'm just
How are you? I'm
chopping
gonna
up
fuck
my
shit up.
enemies
That's right.
and pouring their blood all over my face. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, right. Horrific ghost, bloody story, and how are you? I'm fine. Yeah, right.
Can you feel the irony?
So in the last song I'm gonna play for you, they use Sanskrit word from the Shiva Tandana Stotram, a kind of hymn which describe Shiva's power and beauty and conclude with lists of Shiva's epithets as destroyer. Even the destroyer of death is its left. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna restart again. Sorry.
So much deception.
Fortunately, you have a sheet.
You're gonna have some work with that.
Yeah.
English part.
So in the next song I'm gonna play
Gonna be the next bodyboard.
so in the next song I'm gonna play is the last one. They use a Sanskrit word from the Shiva Tandana Stotram, a kind of hymn which describes Shiva's power and beauty and concludes with a list of Shiva's epithets as a destroyer, even the destroyer of death itself. In the description,
That's tough.
yeah.
That's badass.
That's badass.
In the description of the song official music video on YouTube, they say the music video depicts the story of Ravana's penance for Lord Shiva's blessing. Angry at Shiva's silence, Ravana goes to Kailasa and plays his shloka with a veena made out of his intestine.
No, this just
That
made
is
up words. I am
quite an
sure
instrument.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I wish that I could make an instrument out of my intestines,
Yeah,
you
that'd
guys.
be
You wouldn't be a real
God.
functioning human then.
No, but maybe I'd be impactful. I got on a stage and started pulling out my intestines. Like, here's my violin.
So the video also shows Potantheam, an art from which tells the story between Sankaracharya and Lord Shiva. It briefs the meeting of Lord Shiva disguised as Pulayan, Down Troddence, with the intention of to further test Sankaracharya's knowledge, who is proud of himself and about to ascend Saranja Pedam, throne of knowledge.
So this is another Tayam performance then, which is what a lot of the Down Troddence kind of derives from. That Tayam ancient art, that 8,000-year-old art that they love, that they use. And this is another performance, yes.
Ah, okay, so if you hear, you can no. So no, not if you hear. Okay, so here you can see more of that ancient dancing technique, and hear parts of the hymn that inspired it. Hear the song. Benoit,
Benma, Shiva,
No, I'm
Oh.
delegating to Anthony.
Anthony,
Anthony.
Anthony, press the button. Shiva!
Shiva.
How was it, guys?
That was fantastic.
Yeah, really great. It's so good.
Did you say that was so
pretty
shit?
heavy. I like it. It's
And
just
very
really
epic.
Some part of the music's
It's,
really made me think about power metal. Just
Yeah.
all of these solos and
I like the middle part when you start to hear that Sanskrit hymn that you were talking about. When
Yeah,
you hear
yeah.
that guy being like Shiva. Is it called Tayam?
There's some really high level skill.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
really, they work really
absolutely.
hard on it. Like,
you don't really see here the Indian influence.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wouldn't say me this band is from India and I did not hear some of these parts of the music, some of these passages in the music that were really Indian focused, or references to Sanskrit and Indian culture, I couldn't say this is an Indian band.
Well,
Yeah, it's true.
that's a musical style. I mean, if you listen to a Japanese orchestra playing classical music, you won't recognize them as Japanese because they're playing classical music.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the same thing. They're playing
Yeah,
metal.
right. Yeah, it's
Like
true.
in Bloodywood, you can hear a bit more like the Indian sounding
Yeah.
than
Mm.
those guys.
Yeah, and it's a great comparison to make between Bollywood, who is really, even in their name, really a reference to Bloodywood, sorry, was really a reference to Indian culture and Indian heritage in terms of music. And then you have this band that has some parts that references this, but most of it is just metal, like
Yeah,
really universal metal. That
I mean, heavy. I like
Really
it.
heavy.
I really love it.
what language do you speak? Heavy.
Heavy.
I don't know
Why?
if he's singing in English or in Sanskrit.
I think he is, actually. I think he is.
Yeah, I was wondering as well.
Yeah.
But he definitely is in the Forgotten Martyrs.
So, and that concludes my segment on the Down Troddence, a fantastic band which blends thrash with ancient folk music and sings about the struggles faced by the downtrodden. Links will be included below so you can find their stuff, and if you've enjoyed them, which I'm sure you will have. Oh no, it's finished. Okay. Links will be included below so you can find their stuff if you enjoyed them, which I'm sure you will have. And don't forget their new album coming up at the beginning of 2019. I'm sure it's gonna be great.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So we're gonna go towards something a little more, nasty and more gloomy than
Perfect.
Bollywood or since we're gonna go the wonderful world of black metal.
Blood
Yeah.
intestines.
So the band I'm going to talk about today is, without a further ado, Heathen Beast. So, Heathen Beast is a black metal band from Kolkata. I'm pretty fond of black metal, so I mainly listen to Indian black metal bands for this. And I wanted to introduce this one for two reasons. So, first, musically, I found that they have a real originality. There's a personality in their sound. Even though it's not revolutionary or avant-gardist or whatever, they don't sound like a generic black metal band. Their music is not really conventional and sometimes really unorthodox. Secondly, is that they have a strong social and political message in the music. When the black metal scene is not really known for its political engagement, Heathen Beast music is really an evocation of problematics and dynamics that profoundly impact the Indian society. And that's something I find really interesting. So maybe we can start by listening to one of the tune from their fourth and penultimate EP. It's called Rise of the Saffron Empire, and well, that's pretty dope. So let's listen to it.
Yay!
That's mean.
Yeah. So, before I start my little analysis, because I made one, what are your impressions?
I like it. It's
I
really,
liked
really,
it.
really, really scary.
I like
Yes.
the way it changed tempo quite often. Like it
Yeah,
went
it's a
from
bit
really
more-
angry to a bit more placid.
It's a bit more deconstructed than the
Yeah.
black metal I'm used to.
It felt like a
Hearing.
journey.
Breathing,
almost.
and even the
That's-
riff itself, it's like half a blast beat, half not.
It's
Yeah.
more like a break. Like you have
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
some
a lot of
pause.
breaks.
two
and stuff,
measures
yeah.
of blast beat, and then one measure of a
More
little
melodic,
break, and then it's going back to the blast beat, and then they stop, and then they go on. They slow down, they accelerate. That's
But
Mm.
the thing is, there were more black metal on their first albums,
Mhm.
first EPs, but they defined themselves as black metal. And that's something quite complicated about black metal, is that it's not only a musical style, it's also a spirit and something that's built around it. Like, the famous member of Mayhem, the one that has been murdered by Weekend's Euronymous, said that if you play black metal, it's not because of the music you play, it's because of the Satanism in your music. So, that's one definition of black metal from one dude. But what I want to show is that it's also a spirit as long as a musical style. But you're right that in the two last EPs they have an evolution in their style that differ from true black, true rock, black metal. You know.
Yeah.
So we can go back more closer to that song. So the first thing we have here is a guitar chorus introduction with an oriental melody.
Yeah.
By the way, with the noticeable use of this descending natural harmonics. I don't know if you catch it.
Not really.
And that's a move that of course made me think about Gojira once again.
Again,
Gojira everywhere!
Theme, aren't they?
Because the song is not Gojira at all, but you still have this little descent.
Descent of harmonics or harmonic descent.
To get back to about these melodies, this kind of melodies are not that singular in black metal bands, you know, because minor scales or minor harmonic scales like that are sometimes used for a certain melancholy that emanates from it, and a kind of a mysterious and mystic tone, you know. But here we have something I found really interesting, and it's the use of these traditional percussions that are often used in Heathen Beast music.
You can hear them at the back.
Yeah, they're quite discreet.
Yeah.
But you know, when we think about the use of Indian instruments in Western music, we often think about the sitar, like we could before, often used in metal, by the way, in metal music for atmospheric purposes. You know, like that album from Pitbull in the Nursery, to quote something that nobody knows about.
Exactly.
Incredible band, by the way.
Yes.
Incredible band.
That was an incredible band.
You're the same.
So and so yeah, this in Indian music, we can maybe also think about the pungi. You know, this Indian clarinet with the oval shape in the middle.
Oh, yeah, I have one.
I've googled that, yes.
I have one.
Just before coming.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Literally, in my
you know, the
in
one
my
that's
room. I have one.
the one that's used for.
We bought it.
When
in
you
India.
don't know how to play, it's horrible.
Yes, I recall. I
can't.
came to your place, it's horrible. But yes. Maybe it's nice by someone else.
Well,
It's quite an interesting instrument.
so yeah,
I've often walked into a room with you at the other
as-
end of it being like,
maybe, as we say for the violin, it do not support mediocrity. But we less often think about this use of the percussions. Here, they are kind of play the role of a snare. You know, like a Marshall snare roll, like
yeah.
and they fit perfectly for it. Knowing that the song talks about nationalism and the building of an Hindu nation, this reunion of martialism and traditional Indian instruments is, well, in my opinion, really apropos.
So you're saying it's kind of got this like military vibe?
Yeah. That's the kind of vibe you have with a drum roll, you know.
Yeah. It
Clearly,
sounds military. It
You
sounds
should
like
check
an
the
army.
video. It's quite frightening how military it is.
Oh,
I don't know
really?
Where it comes from, but it is
I'll
really...
talk about it later.
Yes, excuse me.
And then there's something I really love in Heathen Beast, and in this track in particular, is that fall into a crude, destructive guitar riff with the extremely aggressive singing. You remember that when I first
Yeah.
after that. Like you know, that's practically the kind of riff you can find in a mathcore band. I mean, except that in that case the riff will last only 2.3 seconds. There's a real violence and dissonance in that part of the music that gives a real strength to it, particularly after that throbbing build-up in the introduction, you know. And that's how the beginning of the title go. It oscillates between this military kind of march and this whirlwind-like riff, to move towards a more black metal-ish, really powerful part in the middle, with a breath that reminds us of the first martial part, and to finish with a more calm and melodic ending with a half beat and the heady guitar melody to fade progressively. And you know, I found a real richness in Heathen Beast music without really innovating per se. There's a singularity in the mix of the different styles and a refreshing feel hearing that concentrate of hunger and distress that is Heathen Beast. You know, you can hear a little black metal, but also a little grind,
yeah.
you know, some grind and some hardcore vibe. That
Yeah,
you
it's
have.
got heavier parts, but
Yeah.
There are, after this EP, there are really interesting evolution again in the music with their last EP. But I feel like it has to do with the themes evoked, and I will like to talk about these themes covered through Heathen Beast music before. So we'll listen to a second track from the band. Also from their fourth EP, and this track is called The Systematic Annihilation of Islam. What? Maxim, you dirty piece of garbage! Did you actually introduce a dangerously Islamophobic band to us? Well, we'll see that after listening to the song.
Alright.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh man, I love that singer. This man is angry.
yeah, really.
Really angry. He doesn't really like religion too.
Maybe he
Yeah.
skipped lunch.
So, do you
Maybe-
guys have something to say about the systematic annihilation of Islam?
His
Well-
is quite an annihilation.
yeah. And the,
Systematic as well.
the drum part is a lot more greencore to me than black metal because it's
Yeah,
changing a lot. It's really,
And
really complex.
Even punk at sometimes
yeah,
Yeah,
even
just
sometimes.
some
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah,
it's
the
quite-
drummer was all about that annihilation of his
Yeah.
drums. Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
He was angry also. He's an angry drummer.
I
really
mean, they're
do.
all angry.
Yeah.
Somewhat. I don't know why.
I'm saying they're not talking just about annihilation of Islam. They're saying too, like all religion basically are shit. Basically, that's what they're saying.
Not our personal beliefs on this podcast. We don't have belief systems.
We don't have beliefs.
We don't
But we
believe
believe in anything.
I
Yeah,
believe in
metal.
Peppa Pig.
I believe in
Oh,
metal.
praise Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
So I know you're quite curious
Yeah.
about this theme that are covered.
Yes,
And
the
then-
title
so-
itself brings a lot of curiosity.
Let me talk a little bit about it. So,
Yeah, tell us.
no, they're not an Hindu supremacist band, as this title may suggest, but really the exact opposite. As you said, the main subject of Heathen Beast's music, as their name may induce, is atheism and the uncompromising critique of religion, and in particular Hinduism and Islam. And so, for the ones that aren't familiar with Indian history and society, it could be interesting to linger a little bit here. I do it quickly with my poor knowledge of the topic, but it's important to understand the context, to understand Heathen Beast's position. So, as you may know, the two religions of Hinduism and Islam has cohabited on the Indian Peninsula and around since the Arabic invasion of the 8th century. It's a long history of complex invasions, reconquest, forced conversions, and religious compromise through more than 12 centuries that led to the partition of India and Pakistan in 1947 at their independence from the British, and after a period of religious tensions that implied the displacement of huge populations, millions of people, and the death of hundreds of thousands in violences between communities.
That might be where that Bollywood film Padmavat is actually about.
Maybe,
Because that is about Padmavat, this beautiful queen who was loved by both the Hindu or Indian king and the Muslim king from Pakistan, and then he invaded, and they fought this war over Padmavat. And 1,000 years ago. But I think it originally was actually a poem
The actress
turned
is so
into a
pretty.
film. Ditka Padakone, like
what you
give
recall
me
from
some of that.
I just remember the actress.
Oh my God. I remember the Muslim king because he's Ranveer Singh.
Yeah, he's pretty sexy too. Yeah.
Ranveer Singh to me.
So you didn't recall anything about the conflicts between the Islam and Hinduism in India. You just
Look up.
The actors were
I
hot.
mean, they
were
were.
not looking.
Did you watch it?
Well, no. I watched the Wikipedia.
You might have
page.
wiped out the history. Just looked at them.
So, anywho, the history of India is marked by this religious conflict. And even Heathen Beast is a studio band and had defined themselves more as a collective than a band. And even if the members all are in India, they are based in Kolkata, so in West Bengal. And in 1947, Bengal has been partitioned between West Bengal, that went to the dominion of India, and East Bengal, now Bangladesh, that went to the dominion of Pakistan. So this region is therefore particularly marked by these events. Well, so that's in that context that Heathen Beast takes its stand. They prone a complete reject of religion by criticizing all religions and by criticizing the manipulation of the people that is made through religion. They denounce religion as a motor of violence, brainwashing, and nationalism. Their third EP is named after the train burning of Godhra in 2002.
Is that Gajura?
No.
Sorry.
Godhra.
Gotcha.
Nobody burned the train of Gojira. So it was in 2002 in the east of the country, religious motivated arson that led to the death of 59 people. We listened before to a song called The Systematic Annihilation of Islam, and I joked about it, but the real denunciation in here targets the building of nationalism and violence by the building of an Hindu nation against Muslims, and they directly denounce Islam and Christianity as being no better, as I quote, "Every religion preaches the same, every story, every teaching, a common thread prevails. Can you not open your eyes and see it is fake? A tool to divide and control, enslave the human race." So you were asking me before about the Saffron Empire, and you asked me while we were listening to the song, what was this sign this dude were doing on the cover of the album. Well, as I understand it, the Saffron Empire is the building of nationalism through Hinduism, which is apparently quite critical in India. The dudes that were doing that sign are from a paramilitary organization called RSS, I think, something like that. Well, I get back to you if it's wrong, but that's an organization that is destined to be parent to the ruling party in India nowadays, and they seem to be building this kind of nationalism through religion. RSS, with that weird sign which really look fascist.
Yeah, it does look, yeah.
Heathen Beast preaches a global condemnation of all religions whatsoever. The black metal musical movement is inseparable from Satanism, and Satanism is often used as a revendication of atheism. It has been used a lot in rock and roll music and metal music as a way to provoke the mainstream mores and target particularly the Christian morality. But it was more critique of the dominant spirit in Scandinavian black metal as a rebellion versus Christianity seen as a colonialist. Heathen Beast refuses the satanic aesthetic as a religious aesthetic, but what's really interesting there is that in India we have a religious tension built for centuries between two dominant religions that still today lead to violence and murder.
Yeah.
And it seems totally different from the Western situation, which give to Heathen Beast's music and Heathen Beast critique a really different power, in my opinion. As I told before, they seem to have covered slightly different themes in their last EP, and I feel like the evolution in the music is linked to it. I mean, I don't know if it's totally conscient or not, but it feels like they incorporated way more stylistic elements from hardcore and hardcore punk. And by the way, I love it. Their first EPs being closer to Black Death or Melodic Black. And so hardcore punk is well known this time for covering strong social themes. So we'll listen to another track. Maybe you have some reactions about all this theme that through Heathen Beast music.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, perfect.
it's a common ground, I'd say. Black metal has always been about making people think about their beliefs and rejecting it for the purpose of creating an alternative way of thinking, perceiving whatever is thrown at us in a way. And it's interesting to see that it has worked in the West world, and we can see it emerge in India as well in a similar way. I wouldn't say a similar way like in a diminutive kind of way, but in a shared way to expose something, show it to the world, and show an alternative as well.
Maybe we can say that about old metal and rock and roll music. I mean, that's a critical music, that music that is built
It's
against
built, the
a
status quo.
mainstream dominant.
Yeah, I mean, isn't all
morality.
kind of heavy metal rock music a rebellion in some sense?
Maybe we can listen to one last song from their last album, which is, as you'll see, way more focused on social and political matters.
Yeah.
Their EP is called Scam, with a dollar for the S. I had a hard time choosing because this album is really, really good. The one I choose is If the Army Can Do It, So Can You.
I've heard of this one.
Benoit, DJ.
Benoit?
Loading.
That was good again.
What did I
Pretty
tell you? Hardcore feels, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, no.
Hardcore.
We made them think about God in the first album. Now they're gonna think about society. We hate everything.
Just let me quote a few song titles from the album. Fuck poor people, I have Paytm. Like, Paytm being
we
digital
know
wallet.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's digital wallet and e-commerce payments.
In
Yeah.
India, they have these little like Paytm signs all over every restaurant that
Everywhere,
you go
everywhere.
constantly,
It's
and we were
just
trying
very-
to work out how we could do it, but we couldn't because we don't have an Indian card,
Yeah, exactly.
so we
yeah.
couldn't do it. But it just sounded
It's
so
pretty handy
convenient.
because you just need your phone and that's it.
They talk about it, and I
Yeah.
tell you was it's bullshit.
Okay.
He knows.
Tell us.
Another song. Bailing out the bank. Bailing out.
Oh, yeah.
Renfloué.
Ah, merci.
Again, like that's a social matter.
Yeah, social commentary.
And I like quite much the last one. If you disagree, you are anti-national. Go to Pakistan.
Oh my god.
That's angry. That's angry.
So we can see here kind of a changement of subjects, right?
Theme. I can see a theme, I think.
Yeah. I mean, even if they already denounced nationalism in the present EP, here they seem to leave religion that they covered in their last 4 EPs to something more directly political and closer to the subject of social justice. So maybe you have some comments about the purely technique musical part of this song.
Lot more punk hardcore with the beat itself sounds more skunk beat like that.
Yeah, there was the intro was black metal, and I was thinking, yeah, black metal, more black metal, and then they go all hardcore and punk, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's good too.
That was a surprise,
Nice
but I'm
transition,
okay
it's very
with it.
smooth.
Yeah, it's two different music movements
Styles.
that just said in their way fuck something. So
Yeah.
I guess in some ways they can meld in a single music to say fuck something really hard.
It's like less mean but more violent than the other ones.
Yeah.
So there's kind of less notes, less strokes.
Oh, I
and that-
never thought about that. Yeah, black metal is more mean.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, punk is just and hardcore are just more violent.
Well, punk is just anarchy, really. So, in conclusion, Maxim.
So, well, again, I'm going to talk about something I'm not a specialist about, but, well, as I understand it, in India is an emerging country with a huge wealth gap, you know,
Yes, there
and
is.
a part of the population is really poor and helpless. So,
Mhm.
you know, in Fuck Poor People, I have PayTM. What they denounce is the democratization of digital payment and demonetization in a country where a huge part of the population can't afford a smartphone. To the profit of a single company, neglecting vivid social matters such as poverty, famine, access to water and electricity, and so. So
Yeah.
when
You don't need a smartphone for PayTM.
well, you
Yes,
can
you
pay
do.
with what?
No, just with a normal phone. You can do
Yes,
it.
but when
Yeah,
you
you
don't
need a
have
phone.
electricity,
You need to
Yeah.
fucking
Anywhere.
I mean,
Point
It's not a
being.
smartphone. Smartphone.
Yeah.
This.
You fucking.
Still.
You fucking fuckwit, mate.
This democratization that favorites certain rich elite of the
Yeah,
population.
no, it's true. Yeah.
And in the song Bailing Out the Banks, they denounce corruption and the loaning system. For example, in India, there is a suicide rate in the farming communities like never before. 150,000 deaths between 1993 and 2011 because
Really?
the farmers contracted debts by buying GMO seeds from Monsanto, seeds that gave crops that rot on the fucking run in a country where 60 to 75% of the population lives from farming, again 2% for the US. Maybe
Fuck Monsanto.
yeah,
maybe,
Fuck Bayer now.
maybe I digress a little. So, well,
Digress
Fuck
away.
you.
You should write a hardcore black metal
that's already
punk song.
Yeah, but you just lay on
About it.
facts to heavy metal music, just be like, fuck these
Yeah.
cunts.
well, anywho, what I wanted to show is that Heathen Beast gives us a raw view of the Indian critical social problems through an aggressive, abrasive metal music mixing black hardcore and grind. So, if you have nothing to add,
Where can we find Heathen Beast?
Yeah, so Heathen Beast, you can listen to all their EPs and download all their EPs on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp? So we just search like www.bandcamp/Heathen Beast?
Sure, something like that. You just Google Heathen Beast and you have their Bandcamp.
Okay, perfect.
And I think they're on Spotify too, but not all the albums. But the
I think
last,
I saw them on Spotify.
yeah, but the last two ones that are the best ones, in my opinion. So yeah, I strongly recommend to listen to their EPs. Obviously, especially the last two ones because they're my favorite. And well, any who is not that long because, as I said, that there are EPs, so three titles.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good. I like them.
They
They're
were
pretty
cool,
good,
they were
yeah.
angry, I like them. Want to run
They're
around.
angry.
I want to
Like
dance and
anger.
fight.
Yeah,
The words
just,
of the late
just
Lisa.
fight. For
Just
this
fight.
one, just fight.
Yeah.
No dancing, just fight.
They're like fuck everybody.
Okay, guys. So, that was India. How did we feel about India?
Pretty interesting, pretty good.
A lot
We
of
learned a
variation,
lot.
right?
Yeah,
Not a
like
lot.
no, yeah.
could have continued for hours. I think.
Fucking
Yeah.
long time, and
Yeah.
this was just scratching the surface.
Yeah,
really.
just
Yeah,
really
yeah.
three bands
Three
and
bands.
a few mentions here and
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And what I look at for black metal Indian bands, I found some really good shit. Also, well, I mean, I don't think there is that much Indian bands. And, when I looked up online in the metal archives, there reckoned 36 of them. So that's not that many for a whole country. But
Especially 1 billion people.
Yeah.
1.6 billion.
1.6 billion, sorry.
yeah, so a lot. but there are really some good bands. And if I may, I would like to recommend 3 of them. My little selection.
You can,
Do
you
it.
can, you
The
can.
3 bonus bands.
Maxim little black metal selection. Yeah.
Black metal with Maxim.
So these 3 bands that catch my ears. The first one is Apartiva Ragdara.
Wow.
Whoa!
Can you repeat, please?
Apartiva Ragdara. Fuck.
We
So-
will include links below
Yeah,
in
so
case
that-
in case
that's,
you can get
A
that.
raw and ultra violent black metal band, also from Kolkata, by the way.
Kolkata.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And
There's an epicenter of black metal there.
oh, yeah, there
Apparently.
are like 2 bands.
We
but
spent
yeah,
a whole
sure.
day.
Like a second band I like to recommend is Ascetic. It's a real cool little ambient melodic project with only 1 EP for now. And the last one is quite interesting. It's called Holocauston, like the ancient,
Like the Holocaust.
like the ancient Greek word, the
Oh,
Holocauston,
okay.
Boo
which
boo.
is actually sacrificed by fire.
Right.
Right. Did you know?
Yes, I knew.
Yeah.
She knows everything about sacrifice. no
Everything about murder, death, destruction.
Yeah,
We
you know,
won't mention why.
Holocauston can be a sacrifice of like vegetables, but that's
I mean,
not
I
the funny one.
sacrifice
Yeah.
vegetables all the time, especially when I'm on a diet.
but still, the interesting thing with that band that it's an Indian black metal project inspired by ancient Greek tragedy. So it's
Oh.
kind of a view of folkloric or part of Western civilization by a band from Indian culture. Well, technically, it's really classic, atmospheric, melodic black metal. That's quite good, but I like the vision from India towards Western history. So yeah, that was my 3 little favorites. Wanted to share with you.
I will be
Pretty
checking
good.
them
But
out.
guys, I think you've got some other ones, no?
Absolutely, we'll,
We've
we'll
tried.
definitely scribe, and then Demonic Resurrection, as I mentioned earlier.
By the way, guys, Liza had to leave.
Yeah.
She's
Liza
not here, that's why
left.
you don't hear her.
She
Liza
has to
abandoned
work.
us. Fucking
And
We're-
Joseph
What
also.
that,
to
guys?
go work for the man.
During the
Yeah.
weekend.
What are you saying? What's that, Kaz? Like, I don't work.
No, I didn't hear. Yeah, by the way, she's not working. 6 months.
The other band was Goddess Gagged, was the other mention.
Goddess guy.
Goddess Gagged.
Oh.
Which are kind of prog metal, but like, the guy has he's not an angry man by any sorts. It's very poppy, actually, to be honest. A little bit poppy.
Yeah.
If you like your
I like
metal a
poppies.
little
Pop
poppy,
metal.
a little poppy.
Pop metal.
Oh, I hope they don't hear that. They'll be like, I'm not pop. I'm hardcore.
Pop and metal. in
And
the
then
same phrase.
Kryptos is another really good one.
Which one?
Cryptos.
Kryptos is another really good. That's a Kryptos.
Again,
also
a Greek
quite good.
word. Isn't it?
Cryptos.
Well, they actually
I
have
don't
this
know.
great song called The Mask of Anubis, which is not Greek, and I realised that as I'm.
Yeah.
That's Egyptian.
Yeah.
Two
There's
different,
like,
two
there's
different
like a sea
cultures.
between them, you know.
I saw a segue, but it was wrong. I dove into it.
Well, technically, the Greek civilization and ancient Egypt civilization are quite
They tie
close.
together,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, you know, Cleopatra, she was Greek because
Exactly.
the
I'm not so wrong.
a Greek.
And she married Caesar.
Right?
She had a great nose, apparently.
And then they made a salad.
Yeah, and then Obelix went to them
Yes.
with the cake and.
They
Have a
fell
better
in
view.
love, and they made a salad.
Yeah, leave that.
Hey guys, if you have any comments or suggestions, and if in any way you think that we could improve, please let us know. You can tell us at The Metal Podcast on Facebook, or you can email us at metal.atlas.podcast@gmail.com. Or if you have any bands that you would like us to mention in future episodes or even in the last episodes, just please let us know. We're open to all information. Thank you and good night.
And sorry if we scorched some name.
Sorry if we
Yeah.
really fucked up names.
We'll
Yeah.
probably do it again.
Yes.
We will do it several
Definitely,
times.
definitely.
We will do it a lot. We're not making promises to improve that portion of the podcast.
I will try.
Yeah.
We'll make an effort. All right. Good night.